Welcome to Shop Talk, where you get my honest opinion on current events, life, and sports. Let's get into it. Before we go anywhere, I want to send a special prayer to families that's dealing with ALS. We saw the interview with Chris Johnson and his wife and his family, telling people about what's going on with his diagnosis. The NFL is hiding research that they know ALS comes from forms of trauma. I saw it with the Saints player Steve Gleason. Over time, I see they doing research, but it seemed as though they kind of dragging their feet with it. So, over time, a person like we saw Chris Johnson sitting upright in the chair the other day, fully dressed and everything. Over time, if you notice Steve Gleason, he's kind of working with just like a computer. Everything is kind of deteriorating. And so, you think guys going 100 miles per hour hitting each other for 2 hours of our entertainment, of our enjoyment. But we're not realizing the toll that it's taking on these guys' lives. And so you think about his beautiful wife, I think her name was Brittany. She's his caretaker now, and so it puts everything in perspective. Once you pick a lifetime partner, that right there the other day was an example of making sure a person is with you not just for a monetary value. And so I pray Chris Johnson gets all the help humanly possible. Him, Steve Gleason, or anyone that's dealing with a diagnosis like that. But the NFL is so money hungry to where you're hiding research from researchers where they're trying to see the correlation between head trauma and all that. Look at the CTE. If people realize a few years ago, what that was, Will Smith played in that movie, and the NFL didn't like it. They tried to get it to where it wasn't able to come out in theaters because they were being exposed for what you're doing to humans. And so it's a gladiator sport. I understand it, but I don't think we were just put on this earth to be entertainers. A lot of guys get to walk away with all the tools the way they came in, but a lot of players are dealing with CTE. And then now you have Chris Johnson with ALS, Steve Gleason. They say one of the first forms of finding out what it really is, you lose the ability to grip things and stuff like that. And so they was just showing how he was just with the rookies. It was last year at like a little mini camp, speaking to those guys out there. And so he said a few months later, he didn't even know where it come from. And so I think that it sneaks up on you, because our head is not meant to be rattled like that. I know that we got to make a living, but I mean, at what expense? I see Drew Brees play for the Saints. Say his kids not playing tackle football. His kids play flag football. So if a guy who played in the league for so long, Super Bowl champion, saying that he's not letting his kids play tackle football, shouldn't a light bulb come on? But we're so programmed as humans to keep following behind that green piece of paper that they print up every day. Every day. We watched a guy die in front of the whole world on the football field. Danny Hamlin, Damar Hamlin. And the whole world felt sorry for him, said prayers for him and his family and stuff like that. But guys still wasn't trying to retire, nothing like that. I saw the different tributes to Chris Johnson and all that on the timeline on X. And I say the funny thing is, nobody's still not saying, like, yo, I think it's time we kind of reroute some things because, especially in football, it's humanly impossible not to have some kind of effect on your body once you leave the game. And we're seeing that with guys, they got issues with the insurance fraud. They're arresting guys with stuff like that. These guys have mental health issues. And so these guys want to be fairly compensated, so the NFL feel whatever they don't know is not going to hurt them. But all the NFL thinking about, and these evil billionaires, is their bottom line. Nobody is still saying, like, yo, man, we might have to, like, give up sports. Everybody's still saying, oh, I got to bring my child to football practice. Notice how nobody is saying we need to walk away from the game. Everybody giving tributes. Oh, man, you're in my prayers. But nobody is saying they're walking away from the game. That's the problem with being programmed. We're living in like a parallel universe. Because it don't make sense to me. Like, it's just like you got a warning sign to don't go in certain areas, and you still go over there, and then you become a statistic. Most people would say, I'm not going over there because that person who went over there, they were made a statistic. So why not listen to the warning signs? And it's like the more guys see destruction, the more they want the money. The more they want the money. Notice how ESPN got a 30 for 30 where they show you how guys go broke after the game, but they ain't never done segments about the effects of those guys after the game, as far as the CTE, the ALS, and all kind of issues. And people wondering, okay, why every offseason we're seeing guys have domestic violence issues, issues of the sort. Well, if you're getting your brain rattled just for that almighty dollar, what would you expect of yourself if someone is not giving you the proper treatment that you need for your injuries? So before the NFL say there's a direct correlation, they'll block certain things from coming out because they thinking about their bottom line. NFL probably 70% of black athletes, black players, some of the greatest, because there's only 1% gonna get to the NFL and the NBA. Really any kind of sport when you think about it. But they know the NFL and the NBA is predominantly black. And so it doesn't make them feel no any kind of way because they saying one of the tests that they were running were race-based tests. Where they saying a black player is normally dumber than a white player. Race-based tests. They can show these guys everything that they got going on. They cannot stop playing for that almighty dollar. It has them in a loop. I told myself yesterday I was going to Google how many times is the word money used on social media in the course of a day. Think about it. People is in a loop. Humanity changing. But people still talking about money, money, money. When everything shut down, money doesn't have a value. You can't spend it nowhere. That's why I asked the guys over in your leisure, what y'all gonna do when the system stop printing the money? Yeah, we all have to make it, but capitalism is killing humanity. It's not making humanity better. That's why socialism is on the uprise in the Democratic Party. The Democrats don't like this because now the game that we've always ran on the voters, they're seeing through it. Look at Mondami. All these Democratic Socialist candidates, they winning their races and they winning by landslides. It's not like it's not tight. They're winning by landslides. That's telling you people are ready to move into a more progressive movement in this world. You're seeing all information coming out about mind control and things of that nature, where we literally living in a parallel universe where humans are actually walking computers. We're limited what we can do because they're messing with the time. We jump in like timelines. So when you jump in timelines, you wonder like, hold up. I always tell my wife, man, I always say, man, I had deja vu. So when you think of deja vu, like I've been here before, I've seen this before. Not only if I saw it in a dream, I saw it, and then in the dream I remember it going a certain way. But when you think about it to yourself, you're like, okay, I remember it going a certain way. Why it's not coming to me? So that's the thing, I see what CERN shut down the other day. They're gonna be shut down for 4 years, supposed to be Agenda 2030. The experiment is coming to an end. The mind control, the things that you do with society and all this stuff here. You got people killing for a green piece of paper. That's basically what it is. Look at the heat index. People in France right now, 1,400 people have already died because of the heat. So all that it plays a part in what's going on in the world. The sun that we seeing, maybe it's not real. Like I said, they got like a ceiling on the earth because they know with advanced technology, humans are going to evolve. I saw what China is just so far ahead of America. I was watching Stephon Marbury open a car yesterday, door, without touching it. Go watch the video on Stephon Marbury. I think it's Strawberry Marbury on IG. Go watch his video. He opened a car door without touching it. So that just go to show you what we possess as humans. And so the demons that be, they know that. So their goal is to try to get the population down to 500 million. That's the funny thing about humans. We really think we control everything. And so I call it delaying the inevitable. People try to, I think they time travel, try to go into the future. And when they went in the future, they saw some things where it's like, okay, we're going to have to kind of like alter the universe where it kind of works in our favor. But they're not realizing you're not in control of the technology. So whatever's coming is still coming. And so that's the thing people have to realize, nothing is by coincidence. Everything is altered, it's orchestrated. It's for their own doing, where they keep us programmed. You notice people kind of doing the same thing over and over and over, but we're getting the same result. But they'll see, okay, you do something over so many times, you get the same result. That's a form of insanity. You're not insane. It's just the parallel universe we're living in. It's altered. They have humans like we basically control. We're not supposed to be controlled. We have super abilities that are going to be unlocked. And so, telepathy and all that stuff is going to be a real thing. So you're really dealing with just from conversations and realizing, well, everything that's been shown on the screen for the movies and the shows and all that, it's a real thing. What they do is they do it right in our face, where we don't realize that, okay, you go back and watch certain things. I remember the show Quantum Leap. We was kids. And he would time travel. And so now you're seeing what a quantum leap issues is coming in place now. So you got to have your head in the game. We can't be distracted by nothing. They got all kinds of distractions. We all watch TV. We watch social media. Everything that gets our attention. So nobody's is like better than the next. You know, we do critique one another for certain things, but nobody's better than the next. We all use social media, all watch certain things. That's just the human aspect of things. So they keep, you know, sporting events and stuff like that to keep us distracted from what they really doing. You know, I know a lot of people might think, okay, man, I've heard things. I don't know what's true. A lot of things that are being told to us, they are true. You notice the missing scientists and stuff like that. That's a scientist that she said you got P 49,000, you got P 52,000. That's the evolution of human. So when she saw that and they try to be a whistleblower, they getting rid of whistleblowers. You know, why so much secrecy with Antarctica? Because there's advanced technology that they're trying to be in control of. And so you think about it, a race of people, I would say, who's always been in control from whatever time. They print the money. They got the regulations with the banks. They got a scam. Everything is a scam on a human. Everything is a scam on a human. It's just like the Rockefellers. He implemented a system where they gonna take, and we'll work for little. It's got to do your research. There's a lot of things I'm learning that I didn't know. So a lot of times I'm researching certain things like, wait, is that true and stuff like that. And so you hit a certain button, you say, yo, I'm interested in this stuff like this. I want to see these type of things. And so over time, you know, I always say social media is a great thing to have because you find out certain things we didn't know that was hidden from us. And so if you notice, one of the first things they tried to do was suppress social media when they bought TikTok. They trying to suppress everything. Imagine the Ellisons own BET and you're funding Israel for genocide against Palestinians. They buying up everything. They want to own all the media because they want to control propaganda. Once you get a person that start listening to your propaganda, you hear that over and over again. That's the thing where that's what the machine was in control of. Radio waves, frequencies. You know, they think about music and stuff like that. It gets us and put us in a mood where you either gonna do something good or you might do something bad. So everything is a play on the humans. You know, I know a lot of times, you know, sometimes we start off doing well and we get a little motion or whatever. And I think a lot of people, I don't know if it's intentionally or just by mistake, but I think a lot of people want to be famous. You know, you look at certain blueprints and you're like, okay, that person don't really, they kind of just stayed on the little journey, and they kind of made a living just off being you, authentically you. But I think the biggest problem with society is I think a lot of people want to be famous. You know, it's like a constant urge for it. And so it's certain things where people tell people and you're not listening. Maybe because the account is suppressed, they play with the algorithm. You know, they'll shadow ban you for telling the truth to people. And so you don't have to be famous to tell the truth. You don't have to have a certain name in your city or whatever to tell the truth. Because people gonna be blind whether you tell them the truth or not. So would you rather walk around with a blindfold on or walk around with your eyes open? Most people tell you, no, I want my eyes open. Okay, so when a person is telling you something for humanity's own good, why you still have a blindfold on? But that's what happens when we're living in a parallel universe where we jump in timelines, where things don't seem right no more. It's like, okay, It's like the time is moving quicker than it was like 5 or 10 years ago. That's not a coincidence. They're trying to see what's happening in the future, but they already know what's going on. So they trying to get into the future to dismantle it. But see, that go to show you how humans are, especially the demons that be, because everybody's not fully human. Most of the demonic entities, they're already here on Earth. Everybody not fully human. So I know when a person says certain things, you might say, okay, I've heard that one before. No, everyone is not fully human. And so those people that are not fully human, they know their time is coming up. Evil is going to get out of this world. Think about all the evil that's going on. Holding people back from certain potentials. Keeping people programmed under this green piece of paper. Ancient technology being hidden. Why? Because you think about the pyramids. They say each piece of pyramid of the stones, they were 2 tons. That's not humans that done that. That was some extraterrestrial. A human can't pick up nothing 2 tons. Nothing. They ain't got a forklift, a crane, nothing can pick up something that's tons. All day long. Time is man-made. Think about it. Time is man-made. They didn't have like time when they was building these things. Like, oh, you got the next Friday. Like, what is next Friday? So we got to make sure we paying attention to what's going on in this world. Look how you're burning, melting. Look at these man-manufactured earthquakes. It's like a weather warfare. They gonna try to get humanity to be 500 million people, not 8.5 billion people, by any means necessary. But that's the thing humans gotta realize. There's a higher power. And all you're doing is delaying the inevitable. So make sure you're paying attention to what's going on. They got all kind of things that gonna get our attention. They gonna try to scare you with certain things. Oh, this coming and that's we not blessed with the spirit of fear. I refuse to let somebody steal my joy, because I know I don't control nothing, but I know they got a higher power that has control over us. So I always say, have passion, compassion towards one another. Let's make sure we want to see each other do well, like collectively. I'm talking about from a generous place. I'm talking about a generous place where you don't have to scroll and watching people page with like vitriol and envy in your heart, and realizing like it's gonna be all right. People say, oh, it's the signs of end time. No, humanity is changing. That's it. Humanity is changing, and it's gonna be scary because we've never saw this before. But we have superhuman abilities. Like when you see Superman and all those type, that's a real thing. So I'm signing off. Like, follow, and subscribe on YouTube at Shop Talk 84. On Instagram, that's contact_CEO. That's KONTACK_CEO. On X as well, that's contact CEO. That's KONTACK CEO. Until next week.